Hey, this is Skyfish6, doing another collections video, except this time I decided to show one off that I'm really interested in but haven't shown off before, my PlayStation 1 collection. Not as big as my Sega collection, but it's still something I'm very interested in collecting. So let's get started. I'll start with this one. It's the only PlayStation game I have in the original large casing. Revolution X. I used to play this one a lot. I don't play it that much anymore, but it is very cool because you really don't come across PlayStation games with this kind of casing or instruction booklet for that matter anymore. It's a lot like the casing for my copy of Corpse Killer, Sega CD32X, but slightly different. This is a decent game. From what I've heard, it's the most faithful to the arcade version of all the ports. They also made like Genesis and I believe a Super Nintendo port that weren't very good, but the PlayStation version's alright. Now we're getting into the jewel case games. Bug's Life, I used to play this one to death when I was a kid. It took me forever to finish. Very difficult game. The case is broken, but that's the case with a lot of the cases. No pun intended. But yeah, I have been able to replace some of them. But this is a collection of Activision classic games for the Atari 2600. Basically, this one is just like 30 Atari 2600 games on one disc. Pretty entertaining game. I still play this one a lot. Definitely something that like retro gamers would like. It's got Pitfall, River Raid, Kaboom, a lot of that stuff. There's another classic arcade one. Midway presents Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection, Volume 1. I don't have any of the other Midway arcade hits ones, but I have seen them for sale at the game store, where I usually get this kind of stuff. So maybe one day I'll get it. This is like 6 games in one. The only ones I really play that often are Tempest, and really, Tempest is the only one I ever got hooked on. Oh, I forgot about that. I had high scores written down from when I was like 10. Battle Tanks Global Assaults. This is an okay action game. In some ways it reminds me of Twisted Metal. In some ways it reminds me of Mass Destruction for PS1, which I do not have anymore. I used to have Mass Destruction, but I don't anymore. I've been trying to find a copy. But Battle Tanks is a pretty good game. Picked up for like $1 at a garage sale. The case for this is not a PS1 case. I actually just, it's an old computer educational game I used to have for my crappy old Windows 98 PC. But this is where I keep my Crash Bandicoot games for PS1. I've got Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, Crash Bandicoot Warped, and Crash Team Racing. So basically I have all 4 of the original Naughty Dog Crash Bandicoot games, which are, in my opinion, the best ones aside from Twinsanity. Here we go. My favorite PlayStation game of all time, Doom, the custom PlayStation edition. This one's got levels from Doom 1, Doom 2, and then some special levels they threw in just for this version. This is an awesome game. As you can see, it did not come with the original case, but at least it came with a good case. Gran Turismo 2. I got this for $2.50 at a garage sale over the summer. This is a very impressive game. It just takes up a lot of memory card space. I think this is the only game in the Gran Turismo series that was 2 discs. There's arcade mode. You got the user manual there. And then the simulation mode, which is like a more complex mode disc. And then like a reference manual for more advanced stuff. So basically 2 discs, 2 instruction books, very heavy case. If everything goes well, one of my friends will actually be selling me Gran Turismo 1 soon. The original Medal of Honor. Good game, although it hasn't aged well in comparison to the other Medal of Honors. The disc-on one, though, it likes to screw up sometimes, because it's been used a lot. I don't play it much anymore. It's primarily one of those games my dad played a lot. The same with Medal of Honor Underground, the second one. The disc on this one doesn't screw up as much, although I think this is one of the games where the case is broken. Yeah, the case on this one is broken, but they're both very good games. It's just the controls have not aged well when you compare them to like newer ones like European Assault and Vanguard. This one is a classic. Rayman. This game is extremely difficult. I still have not beaten this game normally, but I love it anyway. I think it's the best Rayman game, at least out of the 3 that I have. The original Spyro the Dragon. This game is a classic, but I lost the original case, so I have to keep it in one of those generic little CD cases. The disc and everything still works fine. Spyro 2, Spyros Rage. This is one of those games that I was really looking forward to seeing it come out when I was a kid. In my opinion, this is probably one of the... Really, none of the Spyro games I've played are bad. I think it's just, aside from this is the weakest out of the 3 original Insomniac ones, that's what I'd say, but it's still really good. Spyro Year the Dragon, the 3rd one, very good, but also very difficult to get 100% in. Yeah. I haven't gotten 100% in it, but my father has. Test Drive Off-Road. Pretty good racing game. I used to primarily play this one more as a kid than I do now. I actually don't go back and play this one that much, but it's still a neat game. One of the few games of my childhood that actually survived with the casing intact. Twisted Metal. This is an awesome game. It's in a little generic case. I actually made the cover by printing it off of the internet. The disc is kind of screwy, but I'm just happy to have the game. This is one of the childhood games that got sold, or whatever. But I never did play any of the sequels until recently. I got Twisted Metal 2. Probably tied with number 1 for my favorite. It's amazing how I actually managed to find a copy of this in good shape for only $12 too. That was a steal. Good deal, good deal. But Twisted Metal 3, I actually had to swap out another jewel case because the one I bought it in was busted up. This one is probably my least favorite, even though it's not a bad game in and of itself. Twisted Metal 3. Odd choice in soundtrack, but yeah. And then Twisted Metal 4, this one also the case I got it in was pretty busted up, and it didn't come with an instruction booklet, so I had to print one off the internet like I did with number 1. The discs for 3 and 4 are a little screwy here and there, but really the only one I have where the disc is in perfect condition is number 2. And this is the last of my PS1 games, Wipeout. Very odd game, but I loved playing this when I was a kid. The disc is this casing is really screwed up, but the disc still works fine, even though it's like all dusty and not in the best condition in appearance-wise. Well, it's my PS1 collection. I hope you enjoyed watching. Maybe someday I'll do a video on my PS2 collection or something.